Welcome to this episode of Love That For You, the podcast where we dive into the stories that shape us and celebrate the moments that make us who we are. I'm your host, Morgan Leatherwood, a Charlotte-based professional photographer with a passion for genuine connections. Get ready for a conversation that's both lighthearted and deeply insightful. As we journey through each episode, you'll witness the power of storytelling in its purest form. Whether we're discussing pivotal life moments, overcoming challenges, or celebrating achievements, every story will leave you saying, "Love that for you." It's a phrase that encapsulates our genuine enthusiasm for the triumphs of others and the joy that radiates from their successes. You could be anywhere, listening to anything, but you're here, and I love that for you. Oh my goodness, you're beautiful. I am here today, you guys, with my beautiful, lovely big sister, Lauren Allen. Oh, she has a jingle now. She has a jingle. Great. Lauren, welcome.
Thanks.
Let's just go ahead and start this conversation by saying that I am the extroverted Enneagram 7, and she is the more introverted and reserved, but very brilliant Enneagram 5. Affirm?
Affirm.
Okay, great. Okay, I promise I'm going to make her talk more in this conversation than what you can currently hear. Before we dive into this very fun topic, because we have been talking about having this conversation for a very long time, before we dive in, I do want to say welcome to one of the inaugural episodes of the Love That For You podcast. Lauren, how does it feel to be one of the first people on the Love That For You podcast?
I feel honored. Yeah. I also feel like a guinea pig.
Yes, because here's the deal. If anything goes wrong, she's just my sister. So I can be like, hey, listen, forgot to press record. Sorry, not going to be able to share that one. Just kidding. We won't do that. But yeah, we are very excited that we get to launch this brand new podcast that is partner with Queen City Connect, but Queen City Connect is going more into the Charlotte direction and getting to chat with a lot of other Charlotte small businesses and nonprofits, whereas Love That For You, it's just fun conversations with people that I love and admire, whether they live in Charlotte or not. So that's what we get to do today. So without further ado, I'm here with my sister Lauren, and we're going to talk about all things Disney World because we're big Disney fans. If you follow us on Instagram, you probably saw one of our most recent trips. We went to Disney, but then we also did our very first Disney cruise. So we're going to talk all about that. So Lauren, let me open it up to you for like 3 minutes. Can you just share with us a little bit about you and yourself? Sorry, I totally did not remind you before we started that I was going to have you do that. Tell us just as much or as little as you want about yourself so we know who we're getting to chat with today.
Okay. So I am Morgan's older sister, and I'm married to John. John's the best. He's literally the best person in our entire family. 100%.
It's true.
And then I have 4 girls, a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And we are living our best girl life. So my middle schooler is off to 7th grade this year, which I feel like is super exciting. And then I still have the 4-year-old. So we're all over the spectrum. I'm a nurse by training. I am not currently working. Yeah. What else?
Yeah. You do a lot. Like you homeschooled for several years.
Yeah.
And so you were like constantly doing activities with your kids.
Yeah.
You're super involved with your church. You like teach Sunday school. You and John both taught like kids Sunday school for a while, right?
Yeah. And then middle school, I'm still kind of in the middle school. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Doing all the things.
All the things. Yep.
We really are more alike than we're different. She looks at me. Oh, I know that look. All right, we're going to keep moving. So great. So now you know a little bit more about Lauren. She is fantastic. 6 years older than I am, but we weren't super close as kids. So moms, if you're listening to this and you have kids who just aren't getting along, there is hope. Lauren and I hit it off about when I went to college, I would say, upper teens. That's when we were like, oh, maybe we do like each other.
And I really feel like it was when you were like graduated.
Yeah, you're right.
It was like early 20s, mid 20s.
It's when my trauma started that I needed someone to talk to, and she was that person. So we'll talk about that on the next episode. But okay, so we're going to dive into everything Disney cruise, all the things. So we have some notes in front of us too, obviously. She's very organized. So Lauren, you tell us, how do you want to dive into the subject of Disney? How about we give everyone a little synopsis just of like the type of Disney family we are? Like, what is our history with Disney?
So we've gone to Disney a lot. We grew up going to Disney. There was a few years where we didn't go, or we would go like once a year, once every other year. The past several years, we have gone multiple times a year. So we are annual pass holders. We're DVC. Like, we're fully committed. And how many times have you been this year?
6, I think.
Okay. I think I've been 4 times this year.
Yeah. I've
in 2023.
never been as often as I have gone this year.
Yeah.
We normally are a family who would go about once a year growing up, but in the past, becoming annual pass holders, you definitely have been going more.
Yeah.
It makes it worth it. Like, once you get that annual pass holder, the more you go, the more it's worth it.
Yeah. Especially with all the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we go a lot. We were supposed to go on a Disney cruise last summer on the new Disney Wish, and then it got canceled. Well, it didn't get canceled. It got delayed in production. So we got bumped to this summer, which worked out fantastic for us because we got a huge discount on what was our stay this trip. So
yeah, they basically told us last summer. So it was supposed to be summer of 22, and we booked it in summer of 2021. So like, we had been waiting for this trip. So they told us like, hey, it's delayed. We can either give you a full refund or we'll refund you 50%. And we're like, oh, well, let's do that because we still want to go. But then we're like, well, what kind of upgrades can you give us now that we have this huge discount? So we were able to like have a bunch of other perks that I don't think we would have originally had we gone last summer. So, and we'll talk about that more.
yeah. And the funny thing is now I don't know that we can go back.
Without doing all the perks.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like honestly, that was brilliant on their part to get us hooked because I don't know that we will not do a concierge level trip.
That's the problem.
Ever again.
This is how they get you.
Yep.
We are those people.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So we love going to Disney, but we had never done a cruise. This was our first cruise. And if you followed me on Instagram, which by the way, at Morgan Amanda Photography, if you followed me on Instagram during that time, you saw my stories about kind of our collective family anxiousness, but I will say I carried most of it of like going on a cruise and being on a boat in the middle of the ocean and not having a way out. And
she was really fun to be with. Like, really fun to be with.
Okay, Lauren's not a sarcastic person, but that is sarcasm from her. So I'm just going to need everyone to understand that. I turned a corner, but I was very nervous. So if you're listening to this and you also were like, I'm nervous about cruises too, I don't know if I can do it. Listen to this episode because maybe we'll encourage you to do it because it ended up being wonderful. I loved it. It was super fun. A lot of it wasn't even the cruise for me as much as it was just doing something new that I think I realize in my life, like, it's not often that I'm doing something for the first time, you know? Like, have you ever thought about that? Like, when was the last time you did something for the first time? I feel like as you get older, your life kind of just gets repetitive and there's not many things that you do for the first time. So when you do that thing, you're like, oh, there's some nerves going into it. So that's how it was for me. And then mix that with being in the middle of the ocean. Shortly after the entire submersible story happened, I was not the best, but it ended up being great. So let's go ahead and chat. What's the top of your list for Disney cruise that we can talk through?
Do you want to start with what we brought and loved from our Amazon list or from like all of the influencers that we followed and they were like, you have to have this and here's your list of things to get?
Yeah, that's a great idea. We followed a few different blogs. We just Googled people who had been on cruises. And then I had a couple friends who went on a Disney cruise. And so I was like screenshotting all of their stories. So, okay, something that I had bought we had talked about those magnetic hooks because all of the walls in the room on a cruise are magnetic. So getting magnetic hooks is just a great way to like save space, which we ended up not using ours because of the room that we were in. And we can talk about, we stayed concierge level and we can talk about what that means too. But we did have more room in our room. So we did not need to use those. But that was something that was nice to have had we needed to use it.
Yeah. I did not even pull it out of my suitcase. Like we brought it. I think it would be beneficial if you had a smaller room and had to hang every single thing on the walls.
Right.
Our rooms were expansive. We had plenty of space. Yeah. Our suitcases were all open and easily accessible. Yeah. Our toiletries had a place to hang. We really didn't need extra space in our room.
Right.
But if you were in a smaller room with that same amount of people, you would need more hanging space. So,
right. Yeah. Can you take a second and explain to everyone what is the difference of like the normal stateroom versus the concierge level? So they have that understanding.
Yeah. So there's multiple levels of staterooms. So there are the staterooms that are interior. There's staterooms that are different size windows. There are some that have just a ocean view versus a veranda view. So you can walk out in the veranda. On the higher 2 floors, they have what's called concierge level. And concierge level is just a higher level of attention to detail. They provide more services. For instance, one of the services is that we had a cooler, like a little mini fridge in the room, and they constantly restocked it with waters, sodas. I had actually pre-bought packs of water to be delivered on the boat, and we needed none of it. So that would be something that going forward, if we did concierge level, I would just use what they gave us because they gave us tons of stuff. They also provided lots of extra perks, like we had our own lounge. We had an indoor lounge that provided breakfast, snacks and lunches throughout the day, evening desserts. I think starting at 5 is when the dinners and drinks and everything opened. And then around 7 or 8 o'clock is when the desserts and the bar opened back up. And all of that was complimentary for concierge level. There was also an outdoor lounge area for concierge level that had some pools. It had lounge chairs.
I mean, just even getting to like go stand at the edge of the boat and just like look off was really cool too.
Yeah. And there was nobody. I mean, a lot of times we were on that deck. It was just us.
Yeah.
There was maybe another couple on the far other side, but it was pretty much just us. So that was amazing because you just didn't feel claustrophobic there, where there was a couple other places in the boat that, you know, there's a lot of people on the boat.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, there's a lot of us.
There's a few events where everyone is gathering. And so you're just like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of people on this boat. But then whenever we went to the lounge, it was like we were the only ones there. It was crazy. And they had a couple like hot tubs and like smoothie machines and those really big day beds that you see on Bachelor in Paradise. I was living my best life. Yeah, those were great. So yeah, that's the main difference of those. And
then our rooms were pretty expansive. We had a 1-bedroom suite. So we had a separate room with our own bathroom, king size bed that closed off, and then a family room area with a dining table and a whole nother full size bathroom. Was John and mine and a couple of the kids area. And then connected to us, so like an adjoining room was your room, which was I think it was called like a family suite. And it was a king size bed with the pull down bunk beds. And then you had was it a day bed or a Murphy bed?
Yeah. Murphy bed.
Yeah. So you could have 3 people in those beds. And then we had similar bed pull out situations in our family room. So
and we had 12 people in our family go total. So we ended up getting 2 of those like suite scenarios of the like combining rooms, which was perfect. So that was great. Other things that we brought or bought, I would say for me, bringing my hat was a really great idea. I loved having that. I wore that a lot.
I wore your hat too.
She also wore my hat. I brought 2, so it's okay. It's all good.
I think the lanyards was something that I didn't realize they weren't going to just provide us. And for the kids, I feel like for the adults, we didn't need it as much, but for the kids, they have little cards that they carry, and to get in and out of even just the boat, you know, they had to have that card with them. So that made that easier.
And then chat for a second. Why is it important that the kids had lanyards? Do a little deep dive on what is a Disney cruise like with kids.
Yeah. So the lanyards it was the room key. It was called the key to the world. So it let you in your room, but then it also served as what you would scan to get off and back on the boat when we'd be at port. So, you know, to get on the boat, we had to have all of our documentation together. We had to have our passports. All of that we had to show when we got on the boat. And then when we got back off to re-enter and go through customs, we had to show all of that too. The in-between, while we were in Bahamas, you show your key to the world.
I feel like they cared more about that than our actual passport.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think it was an agreement that, I don't know. I don't know the logistics for that. We don't ask questions, but that's what they wanted. So that's what we had to provide. But it was also a little panic inducing to realize that I had to keep track of that at a water park all day, one of the days. So for each of the kids. So it was important that the kids had it on them. It also was their identification. So it was like who this child is and then how they would identify them with us if they needed to.
And I will say really fast, you could wear your magic band. So if you go to the parks, you have your magic band. You could use your magic band. Your magic band did let you into your room, but it was not the key to the world. So it is not what you could use to get off of the boat and back on. You had to have that physical card.
Yeah, so I'm glad we brought the lanyards just so we could have all of the kids contained, and they would just wear them off the boat, wear them on the boat.
For the kids club, talk about that.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had to have those for kids club.
Yeah, they had to have those for kids club to check in. They also were able to wear their magic bands at kids club, and if you wore the magic bands, it would show they were able to see where the kids were on the boat.
That's insane.
So like they would page or call the kids, we'd go check them out. And they would say, oh, go find so-and-so. And they would be like, oh, it looks like they're in the bathroom area. And so they would send somebody to go, yell in there.
That's the notification you got several times for one of your children.
Yes. Please come pick up the 4-year-old.
Bless.
Yeah.
Potty props. We've all been there. All been there. So that is something good to know going into it. Like lanyards are a great idea. You can purchase them on the boat. We also had gotten some like packages delivered to our room some of which we like pre-ordered, and they included lanyards too.
Yeah.
I personally didn't carry a lanyard, but I always had like my purse on me. So I just had my card in my purse.
Yeah. I feel like the adults is a little less necessary. I mean, we had them on us, but wearing them wasn't as necessary.
Right.
So yeah. Yeah, I think the other big thing that I was glad that I took was the waterproof phone cases, which I got a pack of those off of Amazon. We can link all of this too in your show notes.
Everything will be linked.
So we had the waterproof phone cases. The 12-year-old loved it. She literally took it out when we went snorkeling. You took it when you went up to parasail with John.
I parasailed with my brother-in-law. I made everyone think that we were a couple, and it was honestly one of my favorite parts of the trip, because before we get on the boat, the instructor was like, okay, if you're doing this, you can't do it. If you're doing this, you can't do it. If you're pregnant, you can't. And so I looked at John and I'm like, baby, I got a surprise for you. And like everyone just started laughing, and John like starts laughing, and I'm just like, it's okay, we're not really pregnant, but like totally just made them think we were a couple the whole time. It was the best.
He loved it.
I know.
He had so much fun.
Did.
He really did.
Listen, and we'll get to this too, because y'all saw me talking about loving some nightlife in those lounges. But that is one thing that John said. Yeah. He was like, when we go back again, he's like, I want to go to those lounges with you like at night. Because it's like jazz, piano. They had like, there was
like
one called the
80s
Bayou
night.
that's like 80s.
Yeah.
Every genre. So fun. Yeah. We'll talk about the Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge too. Like, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing was, I don't know that I told you about this, but I think you saw them. My mesh zipper bags, the durable baggies. Okay. I literally put all of the kids' stuff. So like every single thing was in a zipper baggie. Mm-hmm. I can link that too, because I feel like it's hard to describe, but they're just really durable Ziploc baggies.
Got it. I think I remember seeing those.
Yeah. And then the other thing that was like 100% I would bring again was the Tide travel sink packets.
These are things I don't think about to pack. I don't even know what that is.
You have no kids. I have a million kids. So we used it to wash bathing suits in between. So like every night when we take bathing suits off.
I could have used one. I literally asked you, how are you washing your bathing suit? Meanwhile, I'm in a shower like shampooing and conditioning my swimsuit and hanging it and listening to it drip all night long.
I mean, that's basically what I did. So the sink packets.
They smelled amazing.
The sink packets are just little mini Tide packets. And I actually threw all of ours in the tub.
Okay.
All of them in together, dumped a couple packets in there, swirled them around, rinsed them out, wrung them out, and I hung them on the line to dry.
Life hack.
Yeah. And by next morning, I think there was a couple things that were a little bit damp, but most of the kids' stuff was dry and smelled fresh. And, with kids, you gotta wash stuff. So the other thing was the hanging toiletry bag. I don't know. What kind of toiletry bag did you bring? I didn't see your bathroom.
Just my normal.
Okay.
I just have like a normal zipper, like 3 zipper pocket that you just open.
Okay. So Ellie and I brought big rollout toiletry bags that unzip and you hang on a hook.
Okay.
So like all of our stuff was there, but it was all contained. So that was really, really helpful, because also, like I said, there's so many of us. So things we did not need. Disney provided shampoo and toiletries, shampoo, conditioner, bath soap, hand soap.
They even give
blow
you this,
dryer,
like, exfoliating scrub.
Yeah.
Like, did you use that?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's like what was it? It was like
a loofah.
It was like a loofah, but I mean, it kind of hurt like Hades when you rubbed it on your skin. But then when you rinsed, you felt so soft. Like I feel like I'm still slightly glistening from it. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. My girls love that too.
Yeah. Towels. Don't need towels.
No towels, no pool towels, no bath towels, no blankets.
Yeah.
All of that was provided, which was
Sunscreen was not provided.
well,
but you
it was
could've
in the
bought
concierge lounge.
Was it really?
Yeah, they had baskets full of sunscreen.
Oh my.
They had
I didn't
spray,
know
they
that.
had lotion, they had face,
Okay.
they had kid stuff or like baby lotion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I brought like 1 can of like Coola and just used that the
Yeah.
whole time.
I mean,
I honestly only used it like the first couple days because I felt like I was at that point in the summer where I was like, I needed to use it, but I didn't need to use it like every 30 minutes. That might be a not scientifically right thing to say, but for my skin, I feel like I didn't burn after that, which was really nice.
yeah, skin cancer.
Well, okay. Did use it, but I didn't feel like I needed like 3 cans of it. Like I just
Right.
got 1 and I was good with that.
Well, you're just one person.
That is also true. There is a
We are
theme
6
of this.
people. Yeah.
My experience of this cruise was very different than her experience of this cruise, but that's what makes this episode so wonderful.
Yeah.
Clothes. We brought way too many clothes. We brought way too many clothes. Listen to me. If you go on a cruise, this is what you need. 4, maybe 5 if you have a problem pairs of underwear. Okay? Ladies, 1 bra, 1 sports bra, 1 strapless bra, if that's your thing. Okay? You need like a fun little casual dress for each night, like a fun little whatever dinner dress. Okay. Your dinner dress could also possibly pair as a cover up.
Yeah.
One of mine did. And then, I mean, I like different bathing suits. So I brought a bathing suit for every day. You definitely could only have brought 1 or 2 and just washed them.
I think next time we're going to bring 2.
Yeah.
Because they would be fully dried. So if we wore every other day, it was fully
Also,
dry.
We
Yeah.
haven't yet talked about the spa, but we did do the spa and I really enjoyed my experience there. Also, in the women's locker room, they had one of those bathing suit spinners.
Dryers. Yeah.
That you put your suit in and you like pump it and then it dries your suit. So I did use that a couple of times. But yeah, I had way too, like I never really wore like shirts and shorts. And shorts. I really only wore either bathing suits or cover-ups or dresses, obviously pajamas. But other than that, I packed way too much.
Yeah. Same.
Okay.
The only one of ours that used most of her stuff was the 4-year-old, but I feel like that's self-explanatory right there because,
Yeah.
she's 4.
Yeah.
Everybody else had way too many clothes.
And it's also like you've never done it before, so you don't know. So we can give ourselves grace for that. And you also like want to have options because you don't know what you're going to need. Like I didn't know I wasn't going to need 4 pairs of jean shorts.
Yeah.
Or whatever, But really, we just didn't need it.
Yeah.
It's very different than packing for the parks.
Right.
That's one thing that we had mentioned because somebody asked pros and cons of the cruise versus the parks. And it's like, they're so different. You can't even compare them. But one difference is what you're wearing. Like I never wore ears on the cruise. You could, I just didn't. And I never wore like my spandex shorts or tank tops like that I would wear in a park. I never needed that on the cruise.
I don't think we wore tennis shoes. I think we wore like flip-flops and sandals pretty much the whole time. Yeah, I think park stuff. So we had taken park stuff for the end of the trip. We did a few park days. And our park stuff really, I packed separate purposefully, but then we just brought the whole suitcase because I was like, just in case we need it. We didn't need any of it. But like all of our athleisure clothes, all of our socks, tennis shoes, park stuff, ears, like all of that stayed packed. And then when we got to the parks later in the week, I pulled out that whole separate suitcase and it was ready to go.
And that's something too we can talk about because we did after we did the cruise. So the cruise, you have a 3-day option or a 4-day option. And so we did the 4-day. We did the Monday through Friday, but there's also a Friday to Monday. And after we got off of the boat, we went directly to Orlando and did the parks for a few days, which we might have differing opinions on because somebody asked, if you do the park, is it better to do it before the cruise or after the cruise? And I enjoy doing it after because I liked getting on the cruise with all of my luggage intact and like nothing was messed around with or anything like that. But you do have to keep in mind that it's like a different type of clothing. So I actually had on like the left side of my suitcase were my park clothes and the right side were my cruise clothes. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think if we did it again, I probably would just make them separate trips.
Yeah.
I think it would be easier because you are packing completely differently. Also, the cruise is just a completely different experience.
Yeah.
There were things that we were busy and running and doing and active, but it was so much more restful.
Right.
It was so much food, so much like quality family
I'll relax more
time.
the next time.
Yeah.
But it was a relaxing type of
It was so relaxing.
Almost to the point where we got off of the boat, we get to Orlando, we put our stuff in, we literally dropped our stuff in our hotel room. And then we went to Magic Kingdom. No, we went to Hollywood Studios, and we get to Hollywood, and like everyone is falling apart. Yeah. We're just tired. It's like, what do we want to do first? And I was like, I don't care. And usually I have an opinion.
Yeah, like, whatever. We were
kind of done.
Yeah, kind of done. I think next time I probably would just make them separate trips.
Yeah.
Which our thinking was we're already flying to MCO or driving in our case.
And it's like, well, the cruise is only 4 days. So we can really, usually our trips are like week long.
Yeah. I think next time having a park trip and then having a separate cruise trip would probably work best for the 6 of us. So
I agree.
We'll see.
Yeah. So I agree. I would totally make them like 2 separate trips. But I think if I were to do the park, I liked doing it after the cruise just because... You know what I would do? I would do it, but I wouldn't make myself feel like I had to do a park. I would maybe do like the pool or something like that just to chill. Or I'd go back to the Grand Floridian Spa because I could have used that again.
Yeah.
So. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Love That For You. As always, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone who shares their incredible story with us. If this story resonated with you, don't hesitate to reach out and let them know. Remember, we're all about celebrating the victories big and small. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Keep spreading those positive vibes and saying, love that for you. Until next time, friends, I'm Morgan Leatherwood, reminding you to embrace your own story and find joy in the journeys of others.